Hello, good people. Welcome once again to another episode of Let's Be Real. Yeah, I know, we're all reluctant to be here, but it is what it is. We have to show face after the whole, I don't even know what to call it. I don't, let's just say the whole showing on Wednesday at the Etihad. So,
The
yeah,
humiliation, huh?
when you say humiliation is, what happens, humiliation was what happened, when Liverpool got, trashed United 7, you understand? But that 4-0 was much more than that. It was, something of a different realm. Anyways, without
I
further
would say,
ado,
I
I'm
would
not.
say for Madrid, I guess losing 4-0 to City is a humiliation, huh? Because
No, the point is honestly, like Simo, I've seen games where we've lost, matches, and I've seen the 6-2. For me, actually, the 6-2 was worse than the 5-0. For me, in my opinion.
mhm.
But I actually felt like we lost, but we played where we were outpowered. We played and we lost. For the game against City, I honest to God, it's gonna be I don't want to give City any credit or anything like that, but I actually don't recognize my team. I actually don't feel they played. That's why,
Okay.
I really feel so pissed about that, honestly. Like I have seen games, and I know that, you can lose games. Like obviously, we've lost to terrible scorelines, to Barcelona and what is not, you understand? We even
Yeah.
lost to Atletico. We lost to Atletico Madrid 4-0 as well at, the old, their
Uh,
old stadium as well. So
yeah,
I've
Vicente
seen those kind
Calderon.
of exactly. I've seen those kind of losses. You understand, but the one on Wednesday, actually shook me to the core. Honestly, I just felt it was just having the 3-0 forfeit before the game even started. But credit where it's due. City have been a phenomenal team, and they rightly deserve to go through. Anyways, let's just move on. I'm not gonna ask you how you are more. Let's just ask how is the club more. Like what's next for us after the whole thing on Wednesday? Where do you see us going? And then let's put into perspective. Carlo, I think earlier today was saying that he spoke with Florentino Perez, and like the club is totally backing him and it's gonna be here till the end of his contract, which runs till June 2024. So considering this information now, what do you think is gonna happen next?
Honestly, I don't really know. Like, I think the club is in as much a shock as we are. Like, honestly, looking on from the outside, that's the impression that you get. Because, like, okay, there have been leaks, as you expect whenever Real Madrid lose, it's like the end of the world. The whole world is gonna collapse now. Everything is over. The Mayan calendar has ended and whatever. But then, there is always the sun always rises the next day, and we go on. So I guess right now we're in this stage where everything seems a little too catastrophic because you mentioned about how we lost the game and everything and we didn't even play. So I guess the rumors coming out that we'll sign these players, that players are like, you sort of expect them. As to where the club is going, I don't really know what to say because I don't really have an answer for that. But based on what the reporting has been, I think you have to look at who the person who's speaking is. uh, a couple of days ago, the report from, I think it was on Deporte Scope. It was, I think, Aranca Rodriguez and Melchor Ruiz, they mentioned it. They said, like, these guys are the most reliable reporters that are for Real Madrid. And they mentioned that Real Madrid are going to make like four signings, I guess. That was what was said. And like, I guess two of them are like Bellingham and Fran Garcia, because Fran Garcia coming to Real Madrid has been pretty much confirmed, like, for you know, since I guess January. And Fabrizio Romano always, whenever he speaks, he always mentions the fact that Fran Garcia is returning to Madrid. Fran Garcia is returning to Madrid. And then the second one, Jude Bellingham, we all know the fact that uh, personal terms have been agreed between the two, but there still has to be an agreement between Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund. And because Borussia Dortmund are in a title race, Real Madrid are not negotiating with them right now. They feel that it's disrespectful. It might be like, damaging to Dortmund's championship hopes, because as we know that Bayern lost today. So
Yep.
Dortmund have a pretty good chance, but then Dortmund have a history of choking. So who knows what happens over there. Either way, I guess Bellingham deal is going to happen once we know what the fate of Bundesliga is going to be. If you remember, like last season, we had the same thing with Chouameni, right? After the season ended, Real Madrid negotiated with AS Monaco, and we got the deal done for like close to 100 million. So I think with Bellingham is going to be the same thing. From what I remember, like from what I'm reading, it's going to be like an offer of around 100 million plus add-ons is going to be made to Dortmund, and then we'll see how Dortmund react. They probably won't closer to 150 million, but probably they get a deal done between 100 to 120 in fixed, and rest being made up of variables. Apart from that, that's when things get interesting, because I think some people are saying Brahim is going to come back. Honestly, I don't really know what to expect from there, because from what I've watched Brahim play, he really struggles with opponents who are physical. And although he's good in the half spaces and making those passes in the final third, I think he struggles when the opponents become too physical with him, and the game goes towards that aspect. So let's see what happens. Even if you put him on the market, I think Milan can only play around 20 to 30 million. So maybe Real Madrid, they want to keep him, to replace Asensio, because I think Asensio, Ceballos, and Nacho, they haven't really signed contract extensions. So we'll see what happens there. And then the fourth guy is going to be interesting, because we don't really know, but I think it was Jose Pedrol who mentioned the fact that Real Madrid are going to sign a striker to be a backup to Benzema, to play with Benzema. I don't know. Everything, all these rumors are there. And Farouk, probably you can mention some of the names that are being mentioned, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I was just telling Mola that I saw the names of players like Jose Lu has been linked to the club, and what is and what is not. Well, actually, more the thing is this, let me just point out. You mentioned 3 or 4 names. You said like they're saying we're gonna buy 4 players, and you mentioned 3 names there. You talk about Fran Garcia. Fran Garcia is like if I'm not mistaken, it's like a buy option or a buyback clause or something like that that exists in a deal. You go back to and you talk about Brahim, but Brahim actually is literally still out player. He went there for 2-year loan. You understand? So you literally aren't buying nothing. I mean, how are you buying a player who is coming back to you who is actually still currently on your book? So you ain't buying nothing. And the third purchase, which is the more interesting one, which I've always said here, like although I respect and believe that the player is a generational talent, I feel like it's in my opinion, it's a luxury purchase. It's an unnecessary purchase, in my opinion, at this point in time.
If you say the player is a generational talent, I don't think it counts as a luxury purchase.
Of course it does. I mean, the point is we've seen what happened with Real Madrid after they sent away, Makelele, and then they got David Beckham into the team. David Beckham also was a generational talent.
No,
and then
David Beckham is not a generational talent. He's a generational talent financially, but I on the field, I don't consider him to be a generational talent.
Oh, there is that as well. But that's the thing. Like, so the issue becomes like you're I don't know how they put it. Like you're fitting square pegs with round holes, or round holes with square pegs. I don't know what the term exactly is. Maybe I have them mixed up or mixed match. So, because for me, I just feel like we have to fix things in the team first. I've said this even after the game. And forever and ever. Like we firstly have to fix things. And unfortunately, like what actually demoralized me was what I said after the post match. The point is, everything starts and ends with the coach. But the point is, as long as the coach stays, next year we're gonna be here discussing the same bullshit again. So this is the thing, you understand. But the point is, we're gonna get just 2 players in then. Jude and someone else, most likely a backup striker who's gonna be, someone who banks 10 goals for an average La Liga team or something like that. He's not gonna be someone that is gonna actually push Benzema to the limit, but rather someone who is gonna give just someone who's gonna, like, when Benzema is not gonna play, someone who's gonna be able to play, you understand? But it's not someone who's gonna put Benzema on his toes, you understand? Like someone who's gonna push him, to be better or something like that. That's not gonna happen. Well, actually, I just the question actually was a bit.
Just to interrupt, I think you made an interesting point about the fact that we are not going to sign strikers, push Benzema. I don't really think there are any strikers on the market that can push Benzema. People can mention names like Erling Haaland, but let's be honest, Erling Haaland is not coming to Real Madrid like in the summer. He's probably going to be. I believe that I at least try to believe that I am a very sane person. Like, I mean, I will never mention people like Erling Haaland here. But what I'm just trying to see here is the point is that we've seen what Edin Dzeko had done for Inter Milan, how important and how impactful he has been. Players of such caliber. Or you can go on the other hand. What do you look for? You look for players like, for example, I forgot, Thuram, for example. You look for a player like Marcos Thuram, who is young and hungry and trying to push for things. Jose Lu is, I think, 30 or 31 years old. He's 33. 33. I think he's never played in the UCL before. Like, I mean, when you look at the caliber of those players, you understand, like, it just gives you that, okay, then
if I'm gonna go for a player like Joselu, with all due respect to him, I believe like what he's done in La Liga is he's been exceptional in the league. But I believe then if that's the case, then throw Alvaro on. If I mean personally for me, that's what I just believe. Like then try to develop Alvaro then.
I actually agree with what you're saying about Joselu. A couple of days back, I was on Reddit. I was having a conversation with someone, and they mentioned the same thing. They wanted us to look into signing like players like Joselu, and I said the same thing. Player like I have the utmost respect for Joselu. He came through Celta Vigo. He comes to Real Madrid Castilla, and then it doesn't work out quite the way he wanted it to. But then he still went outside of Spain, tried to do something. His spell at Alaves was brilliant. His spell at Espanyol so far has been pretty good for him as well. But then players like, the issue with players signing players like Joselu and, last season, Raul de Thomas, is the fact that these players, at their best, they struggle to get into Real Madrid, right? So when they come to Real Madrid, they're not going to be playing week in, week out, and they're going to be struggling for form and rhythm. And when they get the chance to get on the field, their performances will not be the same as they are with their current team. So I don't really think this is the right caliber of player that Real Madrid should be signing. But honestly, I don't really think Joselu is a target. The name that you mentioned that that piques my interest would be Marcus Thuram. I think he's on a free, and honestly, I think there is some interest there. I'm not sure if it's going to translate into something, but players like Marcus Thuram, I think Dusan Vlahovic, and there were a couple of more names that Real Madrid have been following for quite a while. I think there's this guy at Atlanta. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, but I think it's called Rasmus Højlund. That guy, he's another one that I think interests Real Madrid. So players like these are probably what Real Madrid are looking for. But I think what the biggest issue is that Real Madrid are caught in between. The next season is going to be weird, because it's possibly going to be Benzema's last season, and the next season after that, Endrick comes, right? So the long-term plan for Real Madrid is for Endrick to take the striker's position, but they need somebody who can, bridge that transition. So I guess players like Marcus Thuram, like you mentioned, could be that person. But then there's also the fact that in 24, I think that's the window that Real Madrid are really targeting, because Mbappe could potentially be coming on a free, and possibly Haaland's release clause kicks in. Despite the reports that his release clause will be removed and it's linked with Pep and whatever, I think this has never been confirmed by his agent. And reading from the interviews that his agent does, Rafaela Pimenta, she always says that she likes keeping her players in control, for deciding their destiny. So I really have a tough time believing the fact that Haaland and co will remove the release clause from the contract. But still, either way, I think Haaland loves City, so it will be really difficult to get him out. But overall, I think Mbappe could be a possibility in 24. Either way, I think let's see what the club does.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. Actually, one thing more is just the reason why actually the names you mentioned also all the names I mentioned at first and completed the list. Actually for me they are exciting is because the point is I actually I've kept an eye on Marcus Thuram for a while now, and I feel like he's a low risk and has a potential for high reward kind of thing. You understand? The point is he's young, he's hungry, he wants to get something, he wants to prove himself. And the point is if that gap you're talking about, that transition period, between Benzema and Hendrick, if it works out, Thuram does a very good job for you. If it doesn't work out, then you go on the market and find something, because already it was a low risk, high reward case in the first place. You understand? So that's the thing. Honestly, I think Vlahovic is going to be a very expensive one, but the Norwegian guy, the Walmart version of Erling Haaland at Atlanta.
I mean,
actually,
that Walmart version of Haaland is pretty good. I saw one of his goals that he scored.
I mean, the point is, no matter how good you're not Haaland good, so you're always going to be a Walmart version of Haaland. That's just it, unfortunately, when you're from the same country as him as well. So I mean, the point is,
I actually like Højlund better than Haaland when it comes to on the ball play, dropping deeps and handling defenders. I actually like him better than Haaland in that aspect.
I mean, let's not go back
Haaland's
and
goal
forth,
scoring is it's legendary. You can't really match that.
Let's not go back and forth, man. If I ask you to choose between yourself and Haaland, I know you're going to choose Haaland, so just even forget about that. There's no need for
between me and Haaland.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure even my mother would pick Haaland for her football team. So.
Actually, that's the thing. Like these guys are all young and hungry, and the point is that they also have at least some European exposure and what's and what. That's the problem I have honestly with the players in the local league in Spain. Yeah, they understand the value of the La Liga and what's and what's not. But the point is, the exposure is totally limited. As you mentioned, RDT last year, this year with Joselu and what's and what is not. But I mean, actually, when I asked you the first question more about like what used to happen to the club, I was asking for a personal touch. Obviously, like I know this is what the club is trying to do, but away from so like let's say for example, you're being asked now, how can we fix this club? The point is Carlo is going to stay for next year. There is no way to circumnavigate that. What do you do? But before you answer that question, let's just go through some comments. I see we have like a couple of comments here.
Okay.
Okay, let me start from
Hopefully
the beginning.
no
We have unfortunately I have bad news for you then. We have Hassan in the chat. He said, how have you guys recovered from the cooking? Yeah, man, it is what it is.
I mean, you can't
Anyways.
recover. On this note, I think we need to be congratulating City for yet another Premier League title. They deserved it. Like City have been the best team this season in Europe. That fact cannot be denied, and so we really need to be congratulating them for whatever they have achieved so far, and whatever they might achieve in June.
I think City have been the best in Europe for at least 3 years. I just think like they have always.
I mean, now they have a chance to really seal it. Win the Champions League. And
everything. True. That's true. That's true. Actually, we have a City fan in the chat. He's saying, "Champions of England, we know what we are. Big up, Daniel." This is Daniel, the City fan. So now we're going back to some of our people from Hassan. We skipped to City. Now we're back to Madrid. Dennis the Great says, "Man, Barcelona lifting the La Liga title tonight. I ain't watching none of our games till the end of the season. Players play like they didn't care." True, man. Honestly, players play like they didn't care. But it's not about being cared, man. It's not about caring, in my opinion. I mean, honestly, as I keep saying, square pegs and round holes and square pegs. If you're being asked to defend a free kick on your goal line, what are you playing? Anyways, Dennis the Great was saying Wednesday was the most embarrassing UCL away loss since Liverpool in 2009. Mo, do you remember the game at Liverpool 2009 where Torres scored, I think, after 1 minute or so? I think after 2 minutes, Torres scored
I remember,
a goal.
I think they scored 4 against 4 past us, right?
Yeah,
the next day I had to go to school, so, it was really terrible.
Yep. And then actually, I had United fans. Like, I think I was 2009, where was I? I was in middle school. Yeah, I was in middle school, but because our school was a boarding house, so
and a particular guy who was playing for Liverpool that day was called Alvaro Arbeloa. And I think
Arbeloa, yes.
Yes, and I think we need to congratulate Arbeloa's juvenile under-19s for, completing the domestic treble at the youth level. They won the Copa del Rey, their division, and then they went on to win the Copa de Campeones. And I think this is only the second time in Real Madrid's history that it has been done. The first one to do it was like another Real Madrid fan favorite in Guti. He did it in 2017. But I hope Arbeloa's managerial career goes better than Guti's, who now I think works on El Chiringuito stuff.
Actually, Guti, did he have a full-time job? I actually remember once upon a time he was in Turkey, but I don't remember, did he coach a team or was he an assistant at the team?
He was the assistant at Besiktas.
Yeah, I remember he was, I think,
after that, I think he went to Almeria for like 2 or 3 months. And, Turkey El Sheikh is like, yeah, he can be a maverick, so.
Yeah, that's
I think in that season, he fired like 3 coaches.
So moving on, we have Sunaid in the chat saying Joselu party. I think first when we're discussing about him. And then Hassan said, I don't know why we want to keep Brahim. He's chicks. And then Sunaid is saying Brahim is better than Kubo. That's about it.
Nah, man.
Yeah, good question. Yeah. What do you think is better? Who would you take?
At this point in time, I'd take Kubo.
Well, actually, Sunaid, I think Sunaid actually brings a point here. But I think the point also comes in the sense that we're not comparing apple and apple. We're comparing like apple and oranges. Like when you play a different system, this player suits better. I don't know if you would agree with me or not. I actually genuinely think that if we play a system like we played in 2016-17 with a diamond, I think Brahim will be a fantastic option for that.
When they played against Inter the first leg, I think Rafael Leao wasn't there and they had some injuries, so they had to shift to a 4-2-3-1. And Brahim, he went centrally, but I think he struggled a bit, playing centrally. For me personally, I think what Brahim does well is playing in those half spaces, in those channels, That is the region where he's good at. And once you ask him to play either too centrally or too wide, I think he struggles a little bit. Kubo, on the other hand, he can play both wide and centrally. He has the ability to take his defender one-on-one, beat his man with with his dribbling. So, and he played against the Camavinga, and I think he did well against Camavinga when L'Oreal played against.
Yeah, definitely.
So he kept running at him, and so that was good. Even in the first leg, when Camavinga was just starting out as a left back, I think in the first half they were struggling a little bit, but then their manager made a change and pushed Kubo out wide, and then made him go one-on-one, and he really took Camavinga to the limit. So I think personally, the season that Kubo has had is pretty good. Although personally, I would think that Kubo should do another season at L'Oreal, to continue in this trajectory and everything. Overall, I think Kubo might end up being better, but Brahim has a better chance because we don't have to pay to get Brahim back, and Kubo, I think, has a 60 million release clause, and we have like 50% of that, so we probably have to pay like 20 to 30 million to get him back. So that would be pretty expensive. So I don't really see that happening. Brahim is going to be cheaper, and Brahim is probably the only one who's coming back.
I mean, honestly, if you're asking, both of them should just stay where they are and continue their, as you said, like Kubo at L'Oreal, and actually for Diaz as well. Like at AC Milan, he's been blowing hot and cold. I don't know, but then
I mean, Brahim is like that, right?
Milan,
Brahim is like that as well. He just blows sometimes hot, sometimes cold. When he was playing against Napoli, I swear he was probably one of the best players in the world at that moment. But then, out comes Inter, and he's back to being, worse than Lucas Vazquez in somebody's opinions.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think he's worse than Lucas Vazquez. Honestly, I love Brahim. Actually, I would love to see him succeed at Real Madrid.
Anyways, Dennis Agri says, I hope Bellingham wins the Bundesliga for Dortmund so he can get. So I think he can develop a winning mentality before he comes to us. That's good. That's interesting. I mean, the point is when players come to us, eventually they develop that, so it doesn't really matter. And wow, I actually didn't know this. I think I saw pictures about this before. Hassan is saying that we have to sign Joselu because he's Carvalho's in-law.
Yeah, he's his brother-in-law. I think Carvajal's wife and Joselu's wives are sisters.
Okay, I think. Anyways, let's.
He even went to the Paris final wearing Carvajal's jersey. I remember.
Okay.
And I think Carvajal, Joselu, and all these guys, they were together at Castilla as well. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you a lot.
Yeah, let's take this and then we go back to our discussion so we can keep the flow. So actually, Sunaid here is asking, is Marcos Thuram that good? And Hassan is saying we need to sign a big 9 and make Benz the backup. So like what actually Sunaid is saying here is that I think we had
I'll let you answer Sunaid.
The whole Marcos Thuram thing, and then Hassan is actually kind of countering our argument in the sense that you don't need to buy a backup to Benz, rather you need to buy buy a big player. I don't know if that's the Haaland or I don't know, the Vlahoviches or whatever it will be, and let's ease out Benz gradually and he becomes a backup eventually. The question about is Marcos Thuram that good? I think Marcos Thuram hasn't proven himself. But the point is, as I said earlier, I think we actually kind of touched on it, is the fact that it's a low risk, high reward thing. Like if you're asking me right now, like when you want to buy a player, like is Marcos Thuram the first person on your list? Definitely not. But the point is that there is financial constraint, you understand? We don't have unlimited resources. Literally, no one has unlimited resources, you understand? So we have to be careful of what we select. The point is, if you're actually going to pay 130 million for Jude Bellingham, then it means that we're literally constrained to what we can get. And right now, are you asking me if I'm going to take the strikers in Spain or Marcos Thuram? I will take Marcos Thuram. And also, let's not forget about the flexibility that Marcos Thuram has as well. He can play on both sides of the wing, the left wing, the right wing, and through the middle of the park as well. So that gives a lot of flexibility there. I don't know if you agree with me.
If I may ask, what do you think about Randall Colomwani? Because there's another name I have seen linked with Real Madrid. I think there was a rumor like
he's fantastic as well. He's fantastic, but they're coaching. I think he has a release million of 90 million euros or something like this.
No, he doesn't have a release clause. I think that they are asking between 80-100 million for him.
If that's the case, then let's buy my Nigerian brother from Napoli. Then let's go and buy Victor Osimhen.
Osimhen will be 150 million. Come on.
Actually, the thing I always say this to people, they don't know this. But Napoli spent about 70 million euros to buy Osimhen from Lille in the first place. Let them put that into perspective. That how much De Laurentiis invested in Osimhen. So the fact that Osimhen is he's gonna go to the Premier League for sure. There is no that because there is no one who's gonna pay De Laurentiis the money he's looking for, and rightly so because if you're investing 70 million in an unknown quantity, you're expecting a big return. Obviously, he's won them the league, granted, but the transfer fee is gonna be crazy. I think I would also love Kolo Muani as well. I would honestly, until the World Cup, honestly, I hadn't followed Kolo. Okay, I think we played Frankfurt because of that. We knew about Kolo Muani, but I mean, I hadn't seen
I
him
actually
as much as
watched
I had
him.
seen Thuram
I watched
before.
Kolo Muani the first time when we did the Frankfurt preview.
Exactly.
And before that they
Exactly.
played Bayern, and Bayern like completely whooped Frankfurt. But in the second half, Kolo Muani came on and the game changed. So that's when I watched him for the first time. I think he's a pretty good player, but 80 million, that's a little much.
I think it's going to be more than that because honestly, like, I mean, considering the fact that Muani actually stepped up, he came to the fore at the World Cup as well. And let's not forget, the important thing here is that, like, let's consider what happened the last January transfer market. Chelsea paid 100 million for Mikhailo Mudryk. They paid 125 or 120 something for Enzo Fernandez, you understand? So the statistics has been skewed already, you understand, coming into the summer. So, and the point is when or if, players like Osimhen move, they're gonna also shatter records on the transfer market as well. So like that's gonna skew everything unless you can get your deal done as quick as possible before anyone buys anyone. Then that is it. Because the point is they're also talking about the movement of Declan Rice in England as well. If Rice moves as well, I promise you more like the market is gonna be it's gonna be like before Rice and after Rice. That's what the market is gonna look like as well. So it's gonna be a very
I think we should also keep in mind that Kolo Muani has a pretty strong interest from Bayern and Paris as well.
And that's true, actually. And honestly, like, with all I heard about, like, Paris also trying to, Francify their team, if that's a word, move away from the
get
whole
more
South
players
American
from
people and
the Paris area, yeah.
From the Paris area as well. And I heard like Kolo is also one of those guys. So that will be interesting.
Kolo Muani and Moussa Diaby, those two players. I think if actually Real Madrid managed to sell Brahim and lose Asensio, Moussa Diaby might be a target.
I mean, honestly, like I would, if we were like when the rumors of the new manager Alonso was one of them, I was actually hoping that Alonso comes with two players, man, Diaby and the fullback. What was the name of the fullback? The wingback turned fullback. I don't know, Frimpong. But
I don't like that guy.
Worry about him being. That's the thing. I only worry about that because whenever I've seen him, like he's actually, I don't know if you know, but he was a winger apparently once upon a time who was converted into a fullback. So actually, he was converted into a wing back because he doesn't like Alonso plays with three at the back. So he is not necessarily, actually he reminds me a lot of Marcos Alonso.
I'll tell you the only point I remember. The only thing, my only memory about Frimpong is I was watching him play against Roma when in the first leg, and who's that Roma left back? I forgot his name. The guy who was linked with us as well. Roma's left back plays for Italy.
Is it Spinazzola?
Yeah, Spinazzola. As Spinazzola like completely nutmegged him and push the ball between his legs. He was like one of the worst nutmegs I've ever seen. Like it was completely humiliating. So that's my only memory of Frimpong. Everybody seems to like him a lot, and there's been like big clubs like United have been interested in him. But for me personally, I don't. He doesn't really convince me.
Oh, okay then. I mean, that is that. Okay, let's go back to our question before we read the chat. So let's have the floor. So I was saying, like, to you personally, like, what do you think? Like, keeping in with the fact that that okay, this is Carlo is staying for next year till June 2024. There is no change in the manager. What do you do in the summer?
Okay, personally, I think the only thing that we can do is like fix the problem areas. For me personally, bringing a striker is a right step. But then I would also want the club to strengthen, the right back position because I think Carvajal has been struggling of late. So I think that would be another position that I would want them to strengthen. But I wouldn't want them to strengthen with Frimpong. Somebody else, please.
I'm just looking at the last chat and we have Steve in the chat. He's saying we need a new right back. I don't trust Carvajal. Actually, I think the workload on Carvajal has been too much, considering the fact that, let's not forget that he has a very, very strong injury history as well,
I think his injuries have caught up to him.
Well, I mean, I don't know, man. Honestly, I just still feel like, Carvajal is still in there somewhere, but he just needs to, you need to, like, I don't know, find someone that, can rotate with him more often. I don't know if that makes any sense. I mean, if Odriozola was actually, a good decent player, like, he would have rotated with Carvalho a lot and, keep him fresh for the latter stages of the season. But unfortunately, yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Odriozola because Frimpong reminds me of Odriozola because Odriozola in Lorient was pretty good going forward. He was pretty pacey. Even today, he's pretty pacey. When it comes to defense, to quote somebody in the chat, it's cheeks.
But the point is this, like the point is like with Odriozola, I don't know what he's doing in training, but I believe that he's not putting enough application in there, honestly, because I feel like Carlo is a coach that actually has played everyone, and the other person that he hasn't played is Hazard and Mariano, and we know why he hasn't played them, you understand, because he just doesn't trust them. So I think Odriozola also falls into like, I think he's even worse than them. He's in a whole different category because at least they come here and there, but Odriozola is never ever, there at all. So I don't know what. Oh, okay. Hassan mentions João Cancelo. Yes, more. Let's hear this.
Yeah, I think there was a rumor today today or yesterday about Real Madrid being interested in Cancelo, and like I said, Alphonso Davies. Well, the thing was like Alphonso Davies is not for sale. But talking about João Cancelo, I think. See, I have mentioned it on a couple of occasions. First of all, I think the issue with him isn't on the field; it is off the field. There's a reason why City let him go, and there's a reason why Bayern don't want to make that permanent. The second aspect of it is like his agent is Jorge Mendes, and unless he is representing some like absolutely differential talent, a player who's like of top quality, I have my doubts like Real Madrid are gonna negotiate with him.
That's kind of interesting, honestly. That's true. That's
but
true.
On
but
the
honestly,
field,
like,
he's a brilliant player. On the field, he's a brilliant player. He can play left back, he can play right back. So, and going forward, he's pretty good. But yeah, defensively, I don't really.
Defensively, yeah, that's the thing. Honestly, like, but the question is just like, I don't know, man. It's gonna be like I'm throwing shade at Carlo. I just feel like a player that's as highly as intelligent as João Cancelo, like, will he be able to utilize him well? I don't think so, because the point is we saw what happened at Juve as well. Like Cancelo was at Juventus and people were actually laughing, at him. Let's not forget. Do you know how? I don't know if you can recall how the transfer happened. Like it was like an exchange between Cancelo and Danilo, like that.
Yeah.
That's how high, or rather how low his stock has fallen. Like that he came to.
But City actually paid more for Cancelo, and then it was basically them, inflating figures. It was, I think, money plus Danilo was the fee for Cancelo. I think Cancelo had a good season at Inter, and then he went to Juve because he had a good season. I actually remember being a little bit surprised that City, like Juventus, were selling him to City for Danilo, Danilo plus money. But yeah, he's done well.
But if I'm not mistaken, like he, maybe I'm wrong, but I remember he was from Benfica. He went to Inter on loan. Inter could not pay the money to buy him. Sorry, he was from Valencia, right? Well, which Portuguese club did he play for? Can you remember? I think it was Benfica.
I don't remember.
Right?
Probably it might be Benfica, but I don't remember.
I just remember I remember clearly that he went to Inter on loan, but Inter couldn't pay for him to become a permanent player. So he went to Juve on a transfer. He played for 1.5 season. I can't remember what it was at Juve. But he wasn't, like, honestly, it didn't work out with them with the whole, back three and whatever that they were doing back then. And then he went to City in exchange for Danilo and some fees. And, what he did at City remains, I think, history will tell that what he had done at City is maybe, I don't know, if he was English, he would have been, regarded in the way that the British people regard, or rather the Liverpool fans regard Trent Alexander-Arnold as well, But then it is what it is, because the interpretation he had of the position was phenomenal, honestly. He was phenomenal. But it is what it is, honestly. Like, Cancelo, as you said, really, it's tricky waters, and it looks very, very difficult for Real Madrid.
But I think if Real Madrid go for him, they can sign him. It's a good like if Real Madrid are interested in him, they'll probably get him, because there were some rumors about him wanting to move to Real Madrid in the January window. So if there's interest from the club, I think there could be a chance that we get him.
Actually, Sinead in the chat is saying like Cancelo has a reputation for a bit of a problem maker, and Hassan was saying City paid 25M plus Danilo for him, which was an absolute steal. I think that just stressed the parts that you were saying as well. More like it looks a bit tricky, for Cancelo. I don't know, honestly, because the point is, it's been 2 clubs now, and you understand, like both Bayern and City, and something's happened there, so we don't know what exactly happened behind the scenes or like there, because Cancelo was almost undroppable for Pep, and all of a sudden he was totally out of the team. So yeah, I
Maybe
don't
he
know.
stole, Pep's, ball sport shiner or something.
Yeah, man, it is what it is. Well, anyways, man, I just personally. So let's go back to the team and developing the team then. So more like what does it look like with the whole Castilla things? Like, should we expect, or rather, would you expect any player to be promoted? Like we've heard, like Alvaro is going to be with the team next season or something like that. I actually have said on this platform before, that if you remember at the Club World Cup, this guy came up, Arribas, and with the first touch or something like that, he scored a goal and something like that. And everyone was like hyping, oh, you're going to see him play here and there, here and there. I understand the fact that, they're actually they're chasing promotion somewhere, and that's why he hasn't, been able to play a lot. But I just didn't think that Carlo Ancelotti is not the person that actually shows a lot of trust in the youth, honestly, unless if these guys are part of his setup. You understand? They're permanently part of his first team. I don't think he's the person who's going to do, like, for example, like I gave an example in the past and I'll give it again. For example, with Alejandro Balde at Barcelona, Xavi called him up, tested him, and said, okay, this guy is worth the deal, and promoted him to the first team, you understand? But for Real Madrid, like, this was the time to do that, but unfortunately, chasing the title and the promotion actually, has stopped that. So I don't know what should we expect, or rather, what should we expect to see next season from the Castilla guys?
Okay, I agree with you about the Ancelotti fact, because I think Ancelotti last season completely destroyed Miguel Gutierrez's season, and he had to go to Girona to get some recognition again. So I agree with him that Ancelotti does not give youth a lot of chance. So I don't really know what to expect next season. But then let's put it into context, right? Midfield is the position that Real Madrid has most players. Sergio Arribas for Raúl plays in the midfield. So it's tough for me to see Arribas coming into the team because of that. He's an attacking midfielder, position that Real Madrid does not play. He can play out wide, but he's not that good out wide as he is in the central attacking midfielder, and he's the focal point for Raúl's team. So that helps him shine a little bit more. But then the player who I think not many people expected was Mario Martin. He is like sort of a defensive midfielder, who can tackle and everything. A lot of people were surprised when Raúl actually brought him to Castilla, because they thought there were other players who were more technically gifted than Mario Martin. But Mario Martin has made a position for himself at Castilla as well. So that sort of player, somebody who fits in the mold of what Ancelotti is doing, the first team, is the ones that I would probably focus more on. Otherwise, if we're talking about good players, a lot of good players at Castilla, but like making at Real Madrid is a little bit tough because of the players that we already have and the squad, the size that we have. I think getting a chance is really difficult. For me, I think, especially after the Miguel Gutierrez saga, I think something I've learned is the fact that, look at Castilla players as somebody Real Madrid is going to sell on to make some profit. They're not here to, strengthen the first team. If it is a very rare player, somebody like Raúl, once in a generation talent, comes through, they're probably going to get a chance, but it's very difficult, especially when you have a manager who is not from the Real Madrid setup. When Zidane was here, he had a knowledge of what to expect from Castilla. He had coached at Castilla. He's been involved at Real Madrid for a long time. So I think he was bringing players in. If the next manager is somebody like Raúl or Arbeloa or even Xabi Alonso, I think those guys might dip more into the Castilla. But with Ancelotti, I don't really have any hope. Alvaro,
yeah, I think that
Alvaro is a name that's like been mentioned as being a part of the first team. Some people say he'll be part of the first team. Some people say he'll alternate between first team and the Castilla team. So I think if Castilla gets promoted, it's more than likely that Alvaro just plays there continuously. If they stay over there, let's see what happens.
But then that's the question though, like how much do you rate? Because the thing is that, let's not forget about Phil Foden, what happened with Phil Foden, and what happened with the guys in his youth ranks as well. Sancho and Foden were from all the same class as well. So and Foden stayed put, but how did he stay put? He didn't stay put playing for the Man City B in the Premier League 2 or whatever they call it, you understand? He stayed put by training with the best players in the world, week in, week out, literally doing nothing, even not making match day squad, you understand? But we know where Foden is now. So that's the argument I try to make, is that, okay, like when you get the Castilla B promoted, then what? they're not going to come into the same league that you are in. Two Real Madrid teams cannot be in the same single league. Well, the point is, if Rodriguez, has the chance to actually break through to the first team, I think that's a risk worth taking, in my opinion. Just send him into the the first squad and let him do his thing. Like, if it works out, it works out. It's a risk worth taking, especially considering like what happened this season, that we literally had, not even this season, last season as well, we had nobody but Mariano to fall back on. So I think, I just feel like it was a chance that had been missed a lot, honestly.
It definitely is a risk worth taking, but you have to consider the fact that Manchester City too plays in the reserve league. The level of competition is not the same as the division that, Castilla plays in, although they're playing in the third division of Spanish football. And if they get promoted, they play in the second division. I think that also is like a more competitive division, although it's not the first division, but it is still a very competitive division. So I think that experience of playing, teams loan out young players to gain experience. So playing in the second division is going to be a good experience for them. And then there's also the fact that they will get, I think these players, they do get an opportunity to train with the first team on a regular basis, although I think towards the end of this season that has stopped because of the fact that, Castilla is chasing the promotion. So I think Alvaro definitely will get a chance to train with the first team next season if he stays. And he probably goes and plays with the second team when he's not in the matchday squad, because, you don't really want him to be sitting riding the bench and doing nothing. It would be better if he trains with the first team, still goes to the second team and plays if he's not playing to the first team.
Well, I don't know, man. Honestly, I just feel like it's a whole gray area, and I just think, the club that I have supported since the time I started to support, I don't see anyone, making that jump, honestly. I think Nacho is the only player I know that made the jump. Like, other players made Lucas Vasquez, in the past years, Jose Maria Callejon or Carvajal, just to name a few. Like, they've done it via an indirect route. Like, no one has done a direct jump, you understand? I think, as I said, Nacho might be the only one I can remember. So, as you said, most likely it's just, similar to the academy, for Chelsea as well. Just, provide what you can provide and hope, let us make the most money we can out of it, honestly. But anyways, it is what it is. Let's just get back to the chat and see what people are saying. So someone actually, Steve is talking about Cancelo. So he said we ain't gonna be defensive in La Liga. Cancelo will be great for low block in La Liga. Oh, I don't know. That's something.
I mean, when you buy a player like Cancelo, you expect them to play in the biggest of games, right?
So this is the thing, actually. You're not. That's also a very valid point. They say Sunaid is saying Hakimi wants to move, but we need to assemble Danny Ocean and his team to make it happen. So, I think
he wants to make a heist. A robbery.
I don't know, man, honestly, about Hakimi, how it's also gonna require a king transfer as well. And Hassan actually is saying Ancelotti using Castilla players, does he even know? I totally agree with you, Hassan. Like, he doesn't even know that they exist. What else? Says send our Rivers on loan. Reese Brack says Farouk and Mo, we are champions. Have a good day. Yeah, congratulations, Man City. You guys are champions. You guys did the three-peat, and I do hope people give you the credit that you deserve. Like, it's been a fantastic football team. We know what is and what is not, but it's been a fantastic football team, fantastic football. Anyways, yeah, well, let's get back to business. We're here to preview La Liga game eventually. So yeah, what are we fighting for in La Liga again? Second position, I guess, right?
Second position. Atleti lost to LG of all teams.
With our noisy neighbors, Atletico de Madrid. So what's it looking like? Are we gonna finish third? Are we gonna finish second?
I think somewhere between second and third is what we can expect, I guess. I think it's an interesting run of games, right? We play Valencia, Rayo, and I think Sevilla, and then Athletic Bilbao. Sevilla is in good form. They've recovered. Even in their worst forms, they gave us a game like the last time we played them. Yeah, Athletic Club is always tricky. Rayo, I don't know what sort of intensity they bring in, but this time the game is going to be at the Bernabeu. And tomorrow we go to Mestalla. Mestalla is like, it is the cauldron for Real Madrid always. Valencia can be the worst of form. They will still, find a way to kick about and kick our players. So.
Actually, that's one thing that I actually found interesting, was that imagine if our last 4 games was like, I don't know, what the first thing that came to my mind was Girona, but then I remember Girona actually trashed us for me. Anyways, let's say if our last 4 games was playing the likes of Valladolid and I don't know Osasuna and what is not. Osasuna actually.
Osasuna is not.
So soon actually. But anyways, like I mean, the teams like Rayo and all those guys,
Raya also beat us. You're taking names of teams that beat us.
bro. I was gonna say, Real Valladolid, teams like this, like the likes of Real Valladolid, the teams like Cadiz, But Getafe also is a difficult game for us actually because it's a Madrid derby. But anyways, I mean, those kind of games, those games then have no meaning anymore. You understand? So when you go to those games, like you even find it difficult to play. But the point is now is that, as you mentioned, we're gonna play Valencia, we're gonna play Rayo, which is a Madrid derby on it. So we're gonna play Sevilla at the Sanchez Ramon Pizarro, and we're gonna play Athletic Club, which already is always a game, against the two royals of I don't know whatever it is of Spain and what's
the old classic.
Exactly, exactly. So like those games on their own are like mammoth games. You understand? So these are games that whether you like it or not, you have to show up because these guys are gonna. I mean, unless we want a repeat of Girona again, So like this is the only thing that at least gets me going is at least we know we have three, okay, not giant fixtures, but at least above average, teams that will actually give us a challenge and fight.
There is some motivation for the players, and I think especially for the likes of Tchouaméni, if Ancelotti finally gets off, his high horse and gets Tchouaméni a sustained run, in these last 4 games, I think he has the opportunity to stake a claim for the next season, because we were talking about Ancelotti and what we expect for the next season. I think I need Ancelotti. The biggest thing I need from Ancelotti is for him to alter his tactics to get the best out of Camavinga and Tchouaméni playing in the midfield together. That is one thing that I want Ancelotti to do next season. I think these 4 games can be the start of that, because Ferland Mendy is back, and Ancelotti said Ferland Mendy being back means he's important again. So I hope he starts at left back tomorrow, and Camavinga can go back to being the midfielder.
Honestly, like I don't know. I think you're baiting me into making this comment, but the point is, what tactics are we altering? What tactics are we altering, man? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know, man. Honestly, I just don't have any hope. Honestly, like the thing is, I always said this. Even when we go through bad patches, Carlo Ancelotti is such a coach that he can still rise up and next season win the Champions League again, or I don't know, win the league or whatever it is. You understand? But we will still be in the same. I don't know. We will still be in the same situation.
Ancelotti, I think he's only won 1 league with each of his teams. He won like 1 league with Milan. He won like 1 league with Paris. He won 1 league with Chelsea, 1 league with Bayern, and 1 league with Real Madrid. So about the league, I'm a bit iffy, but yeah, Champions League, he might win it.
I mean, that's the thing. He might, win something again. You understand? But we will still be having the same discussions, honestly. So this is the reason why I want to go out of this phase. You understand? And have something that is there for the next 5-6 years. Because, as I told you before in the past, what Mourinho did for our team till today, I think a lot of people don't realize it. Honestly, I think that's maybe the reason why he is such highly rated with together with Florentino Perez. Like he's in such in his good books and such a highly ranked manner. But honestly, like although he didn't win us the La Decima or whatever, he built the foundation for the next great team.
I agree on that with you.
Honestly, like before he came, Pepe and Ramos were just 2 defenders that were promising.
I mean, Ramos was a pretty damn good right back. I think he was probably one of the best right backs in the world. But yeah,
he converted him into a CB, man. That's what I'm saying to you. He brought. I mean, the thing was that he brought solidity to our defense. He brought grit to our midfield. The introduction of Ozil brought that 1 pass, 1 goal. Team, and I mean, we were there, and based on that, we built and built and built until today. We're still the foundation of that. The foundation.
I'll tell you why. I think one of the reasons that's mentioned for Ancelotti being continuing this till the end of this next season is the fact that I think they don't think a manager coming in now will be able to tackle the likes of Modric, Kroos, and Benzema, those heavyweights in the dressing room. So what they're waiting for is these heavyweights to go out, and then they'll change the manager. I think in 2014, a new cycle at Real Madrid will start, and a new manager will be there.
Wow. I mean, Mo, the way you're calling this 2024, it seems like, the whole movie 2012, The End of the World, man. It seems like that's the beginning of a new dawn.
No, and listen, when Ancelotti was brought in, these 3 years were to be the years of transition, as always, We actually overperformed from what was expected last season. Last season, we didn't go into the season expecting to win the Champions League. but then we won it, and suddenly the aspirations changed. But I think overall we're on the right track. Vinicius is developing well. Rodrigo is coming on, well along, and Camavinga has also done pretty well. Much to your, But still, either way, I think we'll see some more players step up. I want to see how Tchouaméni does. I want to see how Bellingham does, and if he comes. But I think 2024 is the time when we get to the next generation of Real Madrid.
Honestly, I would have said to you, like, I'm very sure people would have said this as well. Like, last year was a transition year, but Carlo overachieved, and it masked the eyes of the club, and they continued in the same vein. So my fear is this, which I always have said, that Carlo has that ability to, get one last thing out of these players. And that can be winning another UCL, I don't know, winning another league. And it will also, like, they will overachieve.
Nah, man, again, I don't really think any of these players, Benzema, Kroos, and Modric, are gonna, like, okay, Kroos is a different question, but I don't really expect Benzema and Modric to go on after the season. Because let's not forget, like, Florentino Perez can be pretty ruthless when it comes to, getting players out of the club. So
you don't expect them to go on after this season or after next season?
After next season. Like, after
okay.
I expect like next season is last for Benzema and Modric, especially.
I actually think like Kroos and Modric are intertwined. I think if one of them leaves, the other leaves as well.
Nah, let's see. I don't agree with that, but let's see.
Well, I just kind of have that feeling. But anyways, man, I don't know how it's gonna be eventually, but I just hope, like, Carlo winning next season doesn't reincarnate another 1 year, 2 year, extension of the contract. And yeah, okay, there is nobody on the market, and so that's why we're gonna continue with Carlo, because there's no other coach that exists and shit like that. I don't know, but it is what it is, man. Anyways, let's go to the comments again. Reese Praxis, thank you very much. Love the podcast. Thank you, Reese, for tuning in. Sunate said Mestalla used to be the ground that used to intimidate me the most growing up. Hassan says Carlo uses tactics. Of course, he friendship, suffering, and inshallah football. This is the tactics of Carlo. Sunate is also try chipping in on the fun. Carlo gonna get new brand of gum and we golden. Okay. Anyways, let's get back to it. Enough of going around, and let's call it a wrap. It's been more than 15 minutes. So tomorrow we go into the game. I think you already started, talking about what you want to see. We know with Carlo trying different new tactics or systems, variations. Is that what and I don't know, maybe playing Tchouaméni even more to maybe see if he can recapture that form that he was beginning to show just before he went to the World Cup and got injured. And I think actually Tchouaméni was also really good at World Cup. I don't know if you will share that sentiment with me as well.
I share that sentiment. I think he scored a goal that took France past England, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
Yeah, so actually, because I do know, like, before he went injured, I was really quite satisfied with what he had contributed so far. And then he went to France and he was really good. And then all of a sudden, something happened, and yeah, he got injured, and he hasn't been able to, regain that. And also, one thing I actually want to see is, I don't know, I would really love to, end the whole Valverde season, actually, if that's possible. I just want to, call Valverde off, because I think he's been through so much this season. I don't know.
Maybe extrajudicial, off the field matters might do that, because there is still that Slapgate thing.
Exactly, the whole Alex Baena thing as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think we heard that they said there's not going to be any sporting consequence, but there might be criminal consequences, right? If I'm not mistaken.
They filed a report and it got referred to the sports committee. So now there's going to be a sporting sanction.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I hope it's going to be, nobody expects, and when it's going to come, nobody knows.
The point is, if he doesn't play the next 4 games, then they can do the same thing like they did with Ja, right? So, Ja got a suspension and he started from the day that he
this is not the NBA. This is not the NBA. They're not going to do that. Tebas is not going to do that. Tebas is not Adam Silver.
Anyways, honestly, but on the most serious note, honestly, I wish we can end already for the season, because I think he's put so much, and it's so obvious that it's and also they said he has a foot injury. So the point is, just let everything,
shut him down.
Exactly, shut him down for the season. Just let everything, play out naturally. So I think that's something I want to see, honestly. And I've said before, I really want to see, an option with Alex, Rodriguez, coming up, and doing his thing, but because I think you told me like the whole title winning thing is no longer possible, but they're still in for promotion, right? For the Castilla guys.
Yeah, actually, I think the goal is for like to push for the title as long as possible, mathematically possible. After that, I think the playoffs are coming in. I think Arribas is injured, so they probably want to keep their best players in rhythm and playing. So
I see. But then, yeah, I think it's a lot of players will be looking to save face. The likes of Karim Benzema. I think even Rodrigo will be looking to prove himself again, although he has done that. But because I think the two legs he also alongside Karim Benzema were really really below par. But I do think in the second leg,
one player I would like to see Ancelotti actually play less is Vinicius in these coming days, because I think these games don't really mean much and Vinicius played a lot. So I would rather hope that Ancelotti rests him a little.
I would think that way, but I think Vinicius is a player who will always. But that's true for every player. Every player will always want to play, but that's also true. Like I think we can rest him as well. Why not? Yeah, he can be rested, but I think he's not gonna be shut down for the season, like I said for Fede.
Yeah, just let us manage the last 4 games, man. We'll take care of everything. Carlo, take a rest. Have an early vacation.
Man is scary. We actually show some, tactical now. So he's gonna lose the job. So let's let him stay there, man.
Yeah. Playing all those FIFA tactics of, those fullbacks being on overlap and joining the attack.
Football manager shit in real life, man. That would be interesting, actually. But anyways, moving on. So I think that's which other. Yeah, we also have Dani Ceballos as well. I think Dani Ceballos might get a chance to actually play for a contract. I don't know if that's
I think Ceballos is pretty much gone, especially if Bellingham comes.
Well,
yeah. Because from what I know, Real Madrid have sent him an offer, but he hasn't responded. And it could be difficult for Real Madrid to send him a second one, because I think there's this, they're getting Bellingham, they don't really know where Ceballos fits, and I think Ceballos as well doesn't know where he fits in Real Madrid's next season plan. So
that's actually very true. That goes out of my mind. But honestly, Ceballos is a player that I would actually love to stay on the team because of I believe he has a lot of impact off the bench. Because I think it's similar to my stance on Asensio as well. I think both Ceballos and Asensio are good Spanish homegrown players that you want in your squad, but not in your first XI. You understand? Like they're players that are gonna come in and give you impact, and here and there, depending on the temperature of the game and what he's not. They're not two good impact subs, but players looking for more substantiated role, I don't think that they're suited to the club. That's why I think Asensio needs to go. But I don't know if Ceballos also will be looking for such a role. But based on what you just said right now, it's even looking much more bleak for Ceballos to actually play.
I think Asensio is the one. Like there are three players like Benzema, Modric, and Cruz are going to stay. Asensio has the highest chances of staying because I think they send him a second offer that's probably more in line with his demands, but let's see what happens over there. Nacho is the one that Real Madrid have, like he has the offer, but he only needs to sign it, but he's still undecided if he wants to continue. Ceballos is the one that probably has the least amount of chances of staying among the players that Real Madrid do want to keep if possible. Mariano is obviously going out. So
yeah, Mariano is a free agent. Unfortunately, we still have to deal with Hazard, so there is no issue there. There's nothing we can do. Anyways, it is what it is. So, yeah, man, we go to Valencia, man. They finally, are a bit far away from the relegation zone. I think they have 3-4 points ahead of the relegation zone. How many points?
I think there's like 2 or 3 points ahead. Yeah, of the relegation places.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Yeah, you're actually right. They're 2 points ahead. Like they have 37 points, and Valladolid has 35 points. Although they have played one game less, so I guess that's the game they're gonna play against us tomorrow as well. Yeah, man. Honestly, I mean, we've always talked about Valencia and what is not, but honestly, like I don't know, like Peter Lim is like, I don't know how not to own a club 101, crash course or whatever that is. I don't know what's your take on. I think you have more insight into Spanish football than I do, but what's it been like with Peter Lim, man?
I don't really know what's happening at Valencia because before Peter Lim was there, Valencia was struggling financially, selling players like David Silva, David Villa, Juan Mata, and everybody. They were pretty brilliant players in their day. And then now Peter Lim takes over. Everybody's excited. Something's going to change. Maybe the new Mestalla is going to get built and everything. But 20 years on, Mestalla is still waiting to be built. The new Mestalla. So I don't really know what happened. I think there's some ego on the part of Peter Lim because there's been a lot of protests against him. people say that he's benefiting by the sale of players, because it's essentially a club for Jorge Mendes, where Jorge Mendes, brings his players to put them in the shop window, and then they get a bigger move. So Mendes probably profits off of that. There have been some allegations that Peter Lim bought Valencia by selling players to Valencia. Essentially, Peter Lim had interest in players that Valencia bought, and he would get money from those transactions, and then he used that money to buy Valencia out. And right now he takes a lot of money out of the club, and the way the club has been destroyed, the way the rot has set into the club is like something really sad, because although I don't really like Valencia and would love to see them go down, I still think it's pretty disappointing that, a club of that stature, somebody who played in the Champions League final at one time and, won titles in the last decade, last decade, is, facing this fate. The same thing happened with not the same thing, but Deportivo got relegated in the second division and now playing the third division, competing with Castilla. When they were in the first division, you could never have imagined the fact that, a team that beat Milan in Champions League and, pipped Barcelona Real Madrid to the league title would be in this situation right now. So I think the demise of Valencia is something that's really sad.
Yeah, man, honestly, as I said, just how not to own a club 101, honestly, like, it's really, because that's the thing, like, a lot of people, I will always talk about, there's a billionaire there, this and that. Like, it's not always, black and white. Honestly, like, depends on the kind of person you're getting into the club as well. Because it reminds me just now of, you mentioned the Portugal, but another name that comes to my mind, in recent memory for at least younger people like myself is Malaga. Like, there was this Arabian guy who came to Malaga, bought everyone, at the time of Isco. I can't remember who the manager was. I think, was it Pellegrini was the manager back then? Yeah. Exactly, with the East Coast, even then I think Van Nistelrooy was on the team as well for a short time. Carlos Canemi. Exactly, Cazorla was there. Carlos Canemi in goal. Like it was a really, really good team then, and they went to the semi-finals of the Champions League or quarters.
They were in the quarterfinals. It was just a hair length away. Actually, one wrong decision away from reaching the semi-finals.
Yeah, I saw it was they went out to Klopp's Dortmund back then in 2013. I do remember that game quite well. It was a very dramatic finale to the game. Yeah. And then Dortmund came and they went to Skittles as well. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, back to that. So but where's Malaga now as well? So like the whole Arab guy has just run.
I think Malaga is about to get relegated in the third division this season.
So exactly. So that's the thing. So it's not always bright when people call for
I think the interactions between Valencia's owners and the fans has been pretty sad, because I think you could see that there's an arrogance about the owners where they say, this is our club, we'll do whatever we want. And, at the end of the day, when there's a club, you want them to be representing the fans. So that connection between the fans and the club has been lost. And although fans are doing their best, going and supporting, but still you are disappointed because, although some people might say, build your own club and bring them back to the top, it's really not easy coming through the divisions, rising up. So let's see.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, it's very, very sad actually, because I do remember once I think I heard about the fact that Peter Lim's daughter was like posting, I don't know, on social media and saying like, yeah, it's our money, it's our whatever, like we'll do whatever we want to do with it. It's quite sad. But anyways, like let's go back to the matters on the pitch. Like although Valencia is quite struggling, but I think like it's a team that's quite underachieving. Considering the fact that they actually have quite some interesting players in the squad. Like I don't know what do you think of the squad of Valencia?
I mean, they do have a decent squad, but with La Liga you can never tell, because these teams that finish between 8th to 20th can always sometimes some teams overperform, sometimes some teams do underperform, and these positions they keep on changing, because we have a core group of like 6 or 7 teams that are always on the top, and then these other teams that keep struggling. I think Valencia got caught in that. Right now they're trying to get out of it. At the end of the day, I think they have quality to escape relegation, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see what happens. Anyways, we were talking about finding fullbacks, and we have a player like the captain, Jose Luis Gaya. He's someone that I think even the FIFA players once upon a time will most likely have transferred to the Real Madrid team at a certain point. I do know that I did once upon a time. So I don't know, man. What's your take on Gaya? Do you think is someone you can look at
to buy for Real Madrid?
Yeah, I mean, considering the whole team with Mendy and Camavinga and lack thereof, I don't know.
I mean, if Mendy leaves, he could be a potential option to look at. but I don't know if Real Madrid will go in that direction. He's a good player though, the most I've seen him linked with was actually Barcelona, but with the rise
I
of Valde,
remember.
I think that's probably gonna go down the drain. But I don't know, maybe they sell Jordi Alba, and then buy him to compete with Valde. But let's see what
Yeah,
happens.
actually.
I think
Yeah, actually. I've also seen that, I also I am quite aware that most likely he goes to Barcelona than Real Madrid as well, to continue the line of the whole David Villas and the what's it called?
yeah, that
What's
link
the
between Barcelona and Valencia.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah, to continue that link. Anyways, yeah, but other than even Gaia, like there are quite some interesting names that you look at there, and I remember you were talking about the youngster, who came out, I think it's Javi Guerrera or something like that.
yeah, Javi Guerra.
With,
He scored the winner against Valladolid a couple of games back, and I think he's become a sensation. And he signed a contract renewal recently, so I think they have some interesting young players. Even Hugo Duro, after going to Valencia, has done well for them. Although he's not scored that much, I think he's still become like a cult hero of sorts, because he's been a rallying point for the fans. His effort has been greatly appreciated. The way he has played for the club, and everything. So.
No, that's actually true. Actually, also like I don't know. Have you seen a lot of Yunus Musa recently? Like the
Yunus Musa is actually
young
one of the players I
American.
like, because I live in America. I support the American football team, so Yunus Musa is like one of our stars. But let's see. I think next season probably get a move to Premier League and perform better. And
Yeah, actually, the thing is, I actually feel like the Americans overhype their players. Like I mean, the Pulisic's and the
man,
McKennies
Yunus
and all
Musa
those
is one of the
guys.
greatest talents in the world of football. Okay?
Honestly, that's why I'm always very skeptical about them. But upon watching the World Cup, because honestly, I wouldn't say I've watched Musa for a prolonged period. So upon watching the World Cup, actually, I came to understand that, okay, like he's not at the level of the hype that they're saying, but there's, something there like that can be worked with, honestly. I believe that with proper, coaching and developing, he will be able to
I
get
think he's
somewhere
still very
eventually.
young though. He's like only 2021, I guess.
Yeah, he's 20 years old right now, actually.
Yeah.
Musa is
So
20.
yeah, and I think he's
So then,
been around forever. So I think
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
he has potential to be one of the better American players in Europe, in my opinion.
Oh, that's true, man. What about the forgotten man? Like Clivert was also there, I think, but I think he's will he be available for this game? I'm not very sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I think Kluivert wants to stay at Valencia, because I think he's just like, after a long time, this is the club that he's doing well at, so he probably wants to stay.
Yeah, but then I think that says a lot about him, that it's when a struggle in Valencia, it's when Valencia is actually struggling, that he actually kind of thinks that he fits at the club. I mean, a lot was expected from Clivert when he was at Ajax before he moved to AS Roma, and then all of a sudden, everything has just gone south. But hopefully, like he can get his
I think
career back on
there's an
track.
element of nostalgia as well with that, because because of his father. Everybody's
Yeah,
like, yeah,
exactly.
his father was pretty good, so he's got to be good too.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's the problem. Like where that's when you have such a famous last name, it's so difficult, honestly, to carry the burden. So that's why I pity my children, and when they come and they're the son of Farouk, like people are gonna have expectations for them. It's not my fault. It's I don't know. It is what it is. Anyways, man, moving on. Actually, I was just gonna read this time. Actually, I mentioned Gaia too. Is that like although the team is actually struggling, like Valencia Jose Gaia is the defender who's created the most scoring chances in La Liga this season.
I mean, he's
So
probably their
actually,
main player, right? They probably build through him, compared to other teams where, they have multiple threats. For Valencia, is probably like a guy is probably their chief threat. So it's not surprising.
yeah, but I mean, honestly, I mean, will I say that too? Because yeah, you can say that because he's the captain, so everything's
Yeah.
gonna channel through him one way or another. But then, I mean, that's sort of shade
I mean,
against
I
him
don't want
also.
to
Like,
downplay his quality, because I think you're absolutely right when you say it's one of the best fullbacks in the league currently. So, but to be regarded as one of the best in the world, he has to take that next step. And sadly, Valencia seems like the direction they're heading in are not gonna let him do that. So he probably gets sold and goes to
and
a
the good
better
thing
team,
is
and then we see.
he's only 27 actually, so like there's still a lot of room for something. Actually, there's still like 3, 4, 5 years to uh to get some things done. So it's
Let's
not
see.
gonna be it's not gonna be a bad thing. But anyways, it is cool. Let's go to the comment before we get into our side of things. Uh, Sunil was saying losing Guedes was a blow for the bats. Tonight also saying Carlos said Mendy stays. Isn't Guy like 40 now? That brother is old. Guy is actually 27. Man, I know like Guy has been here forever, but Guy is just 27 actually. Sunil actually is making a very big claim here. I want to bet my life savings on the fact that if Mendy stays fit next year, we win number 15. I mean, Sunil, if your life savings is like $50, then there's no need to bet that, man. I want to bet my life savings if Mendy stays fit, we win number 15 next year. So someone is saying Mayanak says Dortmund can finally win Bundesliga. Mayanak says City won the PL2. And so he's asking is more young. But actually, the thing is this: like I don't know, like not to downplay the thing with Mendy. It always sounds like like I'm always like kind of like throwing him under the bus or something. It's not about downplaying that. But the point is that at the way football is being played right now, the fullbacks are so essential to how you play. And for me, Mendy might be the best fullback in the world when it comes to defensive actions. But for that offensive duties, he doesn't have that. His offensive IQ is, I'm sorry, zero. Okay, not zero per se, but I mean, it's
but Farouk, I think
inconsequential.
that's where your manager becomes important, right? What you see, Pep realized the fact that he wasn't getting the best out of his fullbacks going. Sorry, he had to lose Cancelo. He had to replace that thing. So what he does is like he pushes Stones up into the midfield and he plays three center backs. Ake and Diaz and Akanji. They form the back line. So something like that could work for Real Madrid. If you're not getting that output from a fullback, like say Mendy, what you do is like you probably put him into a defensive three, and you get a right back who can be more, let's say, offensive minded, and you get your midfielders to push up because Tchouaméni and Camavinga both can do that. So yeah,
actually,
I'm just waiting for Real Madrid to send me the offer. I'm gonna be the next manager.
More the tactician. Actually, I actually saw a comment from Hassan here. I need to read that because like that's my comment. He's saying 27. What the fuck? So he's saying Hassan also is saying like, I will bring Gaia to the Bernabeu and send Mendy to Shanghai. I mean, I'm sure me and Hassan we can chip in to pay for the flight ticket of Mendy from Spain to Shanghai, whatever the cost will be. I mean, that's honestly. I don't know, but the thing is this, Mo. It's either of two things, as you said, like either the manager, brings some tactical fluidity or flexibility that brings the very best out of the players you have to build a system. You understand, as Pep has done. Obviously, like Pep is the best in the business, so like, well, we are the best. We are like claiming to be the best club in the world, so we have to hold ourselves to that standard as well. The other option is to what? Bring players that are just flat out players to do their job and forget about it. Specialist player. You want a fullback?
I think from what I know, Mendy is probably one of the players who's in the shop window. So if an offer comes for him, he'll probably get sold. I think when Sunet says that if Mendy plays and we win the 15th, I think wouldn't go that far. But I think if Mendy plays, he adds a defensive solidity to us, especially because we've lost Casemiro and everything. But I think if Mendy gets sold, a player like Gaia could be a good option to bring in. But I don't know if Real Madrid will go and bring in player, if they sell Mendy.
Well, anyways, man, I see the fight is breaking out between Sunaid and Hassan in the chat. I think it's best if we just retract from there and go back to the whole Valencia team because this will not end. So I think it's just, let's not waste too much time. It's been more than 70 minutes. So let's just go to predicting our lineups and giving our predictions, and just we can call it a wrap for the day. If you don't have anything to add, I think that's
it. If you're talking about lineups, I think for Real Madrid it's probably going to be Vinicius. From what I saw this one online, so it's probably going to be Vinicius, Benzema, and like somebody said, Asensio is going to start. And the midfield, for me, if my desire would be Camavinga, Tchouaméni, and one of Modric or Kroos, and in the back line, Carvajal, Militao, maybe Alaba or Rudiger, and then Ferland Mendy.
Sorry, I missed the midfield. You said one of Modric or Kroos and
Camavinga and Tchouaméni.
Camavinga, Tchouaméni, and okay, it makes sense because already Mendy is back, so Mendy, slots into his position as well. And then, I mean, goalkeeping position is Thibaut again, undoubtedly.
It's Courtois. If he's injured, Lunin plays. Otherwise.
But then who do you start at the centre back pairing?
That's the one that confuses me. Like, I could see Militao and Alaba. I could see Militao and Rudiger. My desire would be to see Militao and Rudiger play because Alaba came back from an injury. I don't know what his fitness level is, and I would like to see Militao and Rudiger get more game time together.
That's actually that's something actually. But I don't know. Actually, I feel like what's gonna be the whole situation with. I actually want personally for us to have a fixed starting, center backs. Honestly, so I don't know who those two are gonna be. Honestly, so I hope we can.
For me, that's a question for next season. Now is just getting through the 4 games.
But
Just play
the thing
Rudiger,
is,
give him game time, and he was pretty disappointed after not playing against City. So
I totally agree with that, honestly. And Rudiger, what he did against Haaland for me, like, remains in the back of my head a lot because I literally, discounted him. I was like having the EBGBs when I have to think about what will happen with Rudiger and Haaland, but he totally, sent me back to Nigeria actually. So I am, I'm humbled about that. But the thing is, I feel like the one greatest thing we had last season with the partnership between Alaba and Militao was continuity. Because I don't know if you recall as well, at the beginning of the season, it was a bit, shaky from them as well. But with time, continuity breeds, confidence. They start to understand each other better. And all of a sudden, we got what eventually they became. But the thing right now is that today it's really, and actually this season it's been so up and down, not just even with the center backs, with the fullbacks as well. There's been a lot of changes. Like, it's been a very dynamic.
Injuries have also been a big issue in my opinion because
definitely,
Alaba is injured. Mendy's injured. So.
Yeah. Even Carvajal had his stint as also. It's been like that, honestly. So I think that lack of continuity actually affected a lot. When it comes to that partnership, that understanding, that confidence eventually that comes from that. So I really hope that next season we can have a more injury-free slate. But I can't say that for Mendy because for some reason he's the I don't know, reincarnate of Gareth Bale or something like that. Like, he sleeps and he wakes up injured. That's just how much he loves injury. So I don't know what it is. Well, yeah, let's see how it goes, man. So without further ado, then let's just call it a day and let's predict our score lines. I actually think tomorrow we're gonna go for the juggler because we're gonna be so disappointed and we want to make a statement and something like that.
Yeah, probably.
So we should have a very convincing win. But I don't think we're gonna trash Valencia. I just think we're gonna have a 3-1 kind of victory kind of thing.
Yeah, actually I was gonna say the same thing, 3-1, because we will concede. That's a given at this point. So yeah, but I think we could score 3. Yeah.
No, actually, I also think that.
Yeah, you know what? We should actually consider asking Big Steve's prediction because those are the ones that have to always turn
out. Okay, then. I think with that we call it a wrap, and we had a couple of people in the chat, so thank you guys for keeping us here. And if you're new here, just hit the like and subscribe button. And once again, to the City fans who are in the chat, big ups to you guys. Thank you for lurking in our chats. And congratulations to you guys once again. And what else? The Real Madrid Committee guys, our partners on Instagram, just check them out. Their links are down below. And
road to 1,000, right? Road to 1,000.
Yep, we're on the road to 1,000. We're actually at 947 now. Just 53 left. So hopefully before the season ends, which is 4 games away, which literally is like 4 weeks or 3.5 weeks. I don't know, whatever it is. Away. So hopefully we can get there. So help spread the word. Spread the word to your friends, the friends of their friends, their friends of their friends, and friends of their friends, till the cycle. Actually, the cycle never ends. It's an infinite loop. So you guys just get the concept. So I think it's time to just stop talking and just, call it a day. And then more. See you next time. Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
Okay.